Episode 20 of Evangelion is the one where the angels conveniently do not attack for an entire month while all of the Evas are on commission. Like, wow, what a lucky break for our heroes, right? They don't have to worry about fucking angels. Like, the Evas are just gonna chill while they're like in pieces, while everyone is fucked up, and we're just gonna just try to figure out what's wrong with Shinji, okay? Shinji has disappeared into the Eva. Like, holy fucking shit, what could have possibly caused this? Well, they don't fucking explain it in, like, any reasonable terms. Like, it just sort of happens, and they're just sort of like, yeah, his soul is part of the Eva now, and we may be able to get him out. It's just so nonsensical and so ridiculous. Like, even for anime, it's just so impossible to take seriously. Like, you do not use this kind of thing for drama, okay? Like, you don't. Just really irritable, just really irritating. It doesn't really work at all. I just like, I feel like I'm just repeating myself a lot, but I really do feel like all of Evangelion's problems just can be summed up with like, just all I've been talking about, you know, like these terrible sequences where nothing happens and Shinji just rambles about like how he's feeling and like all these like weird sketches like pass by. Like it feels like the animation department didn't like finish the episode and they just sort of like, okay, let's make this into like a weird trippy dream sequence, and then they did that. So like you have all these sequences where like it goes on for like 6 minutes of just Shinji like rambling about how no one loves him and how only people support him because he's an EVA pilot and how he's depressed. Again, I don't think I touched about on this problem. I was just thinking about this when I got up this morning, actually. Evangelion has this really serious problem where it doesn't show you what's happening. Like, it just tells you how the characters are feeling, you know, what they're doing. Like, it just not, you know, really, it breaks the show don't tell rule really badly in all sorts of different ways. Like, for example, there are all these instances where Shinji does something in the Eva and then like you don't actually see it, right? Because like the animation is so cheap. But in the first episode, right, like he goes out, like there's this big dramatic moment where he tries to fight the angel and then the episode ends, right? Well, typically the episode just ends. Like he fucks up, it ends, and like it ends on a cliffhanger, right? Like you get to see what happens in the next episode, but no, like when the next episode starts, he's fucking in bed, like having already killed the angel. It's like it's so fucking lazy, you know? And they do this thing later where like they show him fighting it later, but it doesn't really work. It doesn't like build the character at all. It's not interesting to watch. It's just like, again, like all of Evangelion's attempts to be deep or like philosophical fall completely flat, you know? Like everything about this, like this sequence in particular, it just none of it really makes a whole lot of sense. Like and like not in a good way, like not in like the Killer 7 way. Like I need to like really drive this point home is that like I really love out there shit like this, okay? Like I'm a huge Killer 7 fan. Like I love like Little King Story, like stuff like that, you know? Stuff like that, like, that really makes you think, you know, that has really, you know, actual meaning and like reasoning behind it, like why they made these really weird creative decisions. Like there's actual reasons for that, you know. When it comes to Eva though, Evangelion though, like you don't get that impression at all. Like the most you get is that they'll tell you like they'll stream at you about like a certain psychology like term. They'll screech psychology terms at you and then like hope you understand what they mean, and if you do, you'll understand immediately why they're bullshit. Like the whole hedgehog's dilemma thing, right? Like that's a real psychology thing from what I understand. But the issue is that instead of like showing Shinji like pushing people away because like that's his personality and that's like something he's going through right now, like they just tell you that like, oh, Shinji's depressed, and like they don't fucking show it at all. Like the only depressive thing he does is not wanting to pilot the Eva at the beginning. That's not even depression. That's like being overwhelmed by this ridiculous being asked to pilot a robot in like in a combat situation. Like, anyone would be, like, reluctant to fucking do that, okay? Like, it's just, like, I don't, this is the thing I don't understand about Nerve, is that they're like, we need Shinji. He's the only one who can do this. We have all these other children. And they don't fucking use them at all. Like, supposedly, well, okay, so I'm just guesstimating here because they haven't established this, but I've noticed at this point that Second Impact happened 15 years ago and all of the protagonists are 14. Like, you know, so they were, like, conceived around that time. So I'm just wondering whether that means that, like, you have to have been born during the Second Impact to pilot an EVA, because that's kind of what I'm getting here. You know, sort of. It's just like, is that one of the requirements? I just don't. Again, they don't really explain it. This is something they should have hashed out, like, near the beginning. Like, why Shinji? Like, they like, try to make this a big dramatic thing. Like, why Shinji needs to be an EVA pilot? Like, okay, what they needed to do from the very beginning was establish that Shinji did not want to pilot the robot, then establish why he had to pilot the robot, and then, like, created a drama around that. But no, that doesn't really happen. Like, instead what happens is that Shinji is just, like, once Shinji gets in, like, a compromising situation, and then he, like, understandably freaks out about it. And it's just like, so what? Like, really? There are so many moments like this. Like, so what? I don't know. Like, there are... It just seems so dumb to me, so lazy, so poorly hashed out, so underutilized. I just do not like this show at all, really. Again, there are worse animes out there. Again, I don't hate this show nearly as much as I hated JoJo's, but man, the animation is just terrible. And they try to hide it with this, like, weird, pretentious bullshit, and it's just like that scene, like, near the end of this episode, where they're just, like, where Masato and Kanji are, like, lying in bed, they've just had sex, and, like, the camera just stays in this one static image of, like, a wine glass on a bedside table, right, and, like, some cigarettes, and then, like, they're just talking to one another, like, pillow talk, right? Like, it's just like, this is so fucking lazy. It really is. Like, there's nothing artsy about it. There's nothing like, ooh, there's a reason for this. No, it's just really lazy animation. Like, it's not even animation. It's like a still image. I'm not exaggerating. Like, nothing moves from that sequence until, like, Shanji, like, lays some kind of pill by the bed. Just, whatever. Whatever. I don't care what's going on. In this episode, like, my prediction from the my last video where I talked about, like, what was going to happen, like I was right. Like, they tried to justify, they think that by, like, giving their Deus Ex Machina you know, having that have problems, like, Shinji's, like, can't get out of the EVA, like, no, it doesn't change the fact that, like, the Deus Ex Machina was a Deus Ex Machina. Like, it came the fuck out of nowhere for no reason to deal with this thing when there was, like, no other narrative way out of this. It's just like, wow. People like this shit. People think this is a classic. Like, really. It's not an action show. It's not, well, it's not praised as an action show. It's not a drama. It is praised as a drama. It's not like a deep, dark look at, like, what depression is like. No, I don't see that way at all. Oh, by the way, I really don't feel... I disagree strongly with the common complaints that Shinji is whiny in this series. Actually, I kind of disagree with, like Asuka's... okay, so I kind of disagree with this mindset that, like, Shinji is a whiny person in this. Like, whenever he angst, generally there's, like, some sort of, like, bullshit going on that makes it kind of, like, I don't think he whines that much. Like, I don't really dislike Shinji at all. Like, the issue is, like, entirely how they handled his character arc. Like, his personality is fine. Like, his motivations are fine. It's just, like, the execution is just so poor. And again, like I don't like this show, but I don't understand the complaints about like Shinji specifically, about how he's whiny. Like that makes no sense to me. Like Shinji would be a perfectly reasonable protagonist if they, establish his problems better and like had some weird, put him in better situations, basically, like more interesting situations. Because that's the problem here, is that like he just doesn't go through the things a person with his problems should be going through. Like I just don't relate to him at all. Like shit. Other than the whole like wanting to bang Asuka thing, like I can get behind him on that. Like shit. But man, this episode, man, like episode 20, I've noticed there are a couple of director's cuts episode. I think that's what there are, like alternate takes of the episodes. I think I'm gonna stick with the original going forward. I don't think I want to watch the director's cut version. I can't imagine it. Like, if I want to judge this series for what it is, I better watch the original. So. Episode 21, the original. I think that's the original. Let's see. Yeah. There's a director's cut version of that. Yeah, so Evangelion is episode 20 episodes in. There's like what, 5 more episodes of this shit. Still angry about it. I'm still not enjoying this at all, but at this point, I'm kind of obligated to finish it. Like, this is a classic anime. At the very least, I can, like, make fun of it for the rest of my life. Oh, you like Evangelion? Fuck you. Man. Fucking, man. Again, like, this isn't, like, the worst anime ever or anything. Like, there are things I've enjoyed about it. Like, I will laugh at, like, Asuka sometimes, but it's just, like, yeah... The best anime ever, the best thing ever, like, I don't fucking think so. Not by a long shot. There's so much more stuff out there that I enjoy so much more. I don't find this dark. I don't find this depressing. I don't find this, like, insightful. I don't find this, like, a good take on, like, the robot genre. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't like the symbolism. Like, I don't like... There is so much I don't like about this. And it's just like, okay... whatever. So we'll see if I can finish this today, but I'll get back to you as I watch Evangelion episode 21.